It is a speech that I recently delivered together with the architect that helped me research this in Volos. So here you can see Elafonisos, and right in front is the beach of Punta. So in the ancient times, because we will transfer ourselves to the prehistoric times, so in prehistoric times that was not an island. There was not sea in between Elafonisos and Punta. Still, the depth is not over 3.5 meters. So in the 3,000 years BC, it was a peninsula, not sea. It was Elafonisos was not an island. As you can see from Google Earth, the waters are shallow and the 2 points were connected. So I think there were 2 natural ports in the area as well. It seems that. So around the end of the Neolithic era and in the beginning of the Copper era, the first residents came here, Bronze Age, sorry. So they built an important settlement which was alive until at least 1200 BC and the end of the Mycenaean age. So we're talking about the early Helladic civilizations. In 1200 BC, these settlements were abandoned when the Mycenaean palaces collapsed. Here you could see the plan of the settlement, at least what we've discovered. So what you see today is below water. No more than 2.5 meters deep. This entire area, marked in yellow and red line, it's a Natura protected area. And on the right part of the screen, you can see where the archaeological site lies. Here is the beach we've talked about, right next to Pavlopetri on the side of Punta. Here is the layout of the archaeological site. You will see some points with no buildings at all, but it doesn't mean that there are none. It just means that they are covered with sand. When the sand leaves, either naturally or because we are excavating, we can reveal the buildings that you see on the right. So this is what we mean by buildings in Pavlopetri. It is a settlement of the prehistoric era. So the basis of the walls is made with stones, 1, 2, or 3 series of stones, so some basic fundaments, some basic foundation. Unfortunately, the speaker's connection is not very good and we cannot hear her. There are interruptions. The below part of the walls protects the bare bricks from humidity. On that, a roof from wood or straw or canes is built, and this is how houses were built back then. Some of them are 2-floor buildings or not. So this settlement is underwater, so all organic materials and walls disappeared. They dissolved due to the water. So what remained is the below stone part of the walls. So what we can see today is like a layout of the building that existed back then. We can see the corners of the building. Around the settlement, there was, and we can still see it, the cemetery of the settlement. Cemeteries were outside the settlements, and today there is a cemetery with many caved tombs. They have been caved within the stone. Some tombs have 2 rooms, some of them have 1. On the picture on the left, you can see 2 chamber domes. These are the very big tombs. They have been carved inside the stone. So they consist of a corridor that leads to the tomb, and the tomb is a very tall rectangular chamber within the rock. Remember the Mycenaean tombs that also had corridors. These ones are rectangular rather than circular, as it was the case in the Mycenae. These tombs belong to well-known persons back then. This is why they're so big. Since 2017, we started organizing events about Pavlopetri, open to the public. Pavlopetri, let me go back. So Pavlopetri was excavated in 1968 within the framework of a research which was not archaeological ones. It was a research about the level of the sea in the coast of Laconia. So the change of the sea level, which is very relevant today because of the climate crisis. So as he was exploring the coasts to research the sea level, he realized that there was a settlement, an ancient settlement. Next year, 1968, he came back with archaeologists and they published their first scientific paper on the cemetery and the settlement. They also collected some findings, artifacts that are displayed, exhibited today in the Archaeological Museum of Neapoli. These findings, these artifacts, prove that it was a long-term settlement that was influenced by the Minoan civilization, which is logical because we are at the most southern part of the Peloponnese, which is very close to the Crete, to the island of Crete. In 2010, we came back to the area through the partnership with the Ephorate of Marine Antiquities. I work for that Ephorate as well, the Ephorate of Underwater Antiquities, and we managed to excavate another part of the settlement as well. When the Museum of Underwater Antiquities opens in Piraeus, some of the artifacts that we discovered back then will be exhibited in this museum. We can see roads in between the buildings, some yards. inside yards, outside yards, a cemetery, etc. The actual houses of the Elafonisos island resemble the structure that we can see at Pavlopetri.
So, back in 2017, we started making the various guided tours in collaboration with ARC International in order to show people what they are actually witnessing. We talk about diving tours. We would dive in order to explain which are the limits and the boundaries of the buildings. In that way, we could realize what works best for visitors in order for them to have a comprehensive overview of Pavlopetri. The first study was carried out by our own Ephorate of underwater antiquities, and we focused both on the Strongili Lagoon and Pavlopetri settlement. The municipality of Elafonisos supported this effort. Those are the results of a master's diploma, a thesis, focusing on the entire area of the Strongili Lagoon, just behind Pavlopetri. We thought that it would be best to highlight the Natura area and, of course, the entire region. The Interreg Inherit program back in 2021-2022, that was a project led by the region of Peloponnese that also contributed to that, and they carried out a comprehensive study of the entire region. Here you can see the lagoon, the Pavlopetri area, as well as the private properties. The sound of the speaker comes and goes. We will try to do our best in order to follow her presentation. Thank you. Now, we talk about a destination of ecotourism. Maybe we could delimitate this area in order to prevent trespassing, install fences. Miss Koutsoumba, can you hear us? I'm afraid we don't have much more time, and we would like to have some time for questions. We're very much interested in this analysis. Maybe we could arrange for another time to talk about that. The speaker goes on talking about the various trails and routes. Those are the routes in the archaeological site, which are the swimming areas. Here you can see the settlement from above. You can see the various buildings. Those are the routes that we designed. The various signs and labels. Here you can see the outer sign showing the various routes. We have placed buoys so that people know where to swim, because they would get lost. And right below the buoys, they can find the relevant tables explaining what they see. So they could swim, dive, read, and explore the area on their own. Miss Koutsoumba, can you hear us? Well, I'm Tanya Galani. I know you from the archaeological program of the National Capodistran University of Athens. Thank you very much for this presentation. We would all like to thank you for that. We would very much like to welcome you here at Elafonisos so that we can host an event focusing exclusively on Pavlopetri. Where are you right now? Asks the speaker. well, the municipality of Pavlopetri, I don't know whether the mayor is over there, is a municipality with which we have been planning to resume the various guided tours at Pavlopetri. Yes, I believe everyone here knows about that. We would like to have you here live with us. This ecological conference, however, so we would like to ask you two questions, one from the audience, and I also have one question for you. The question from the audience is, I don't know how this process goes, but if we installed an absorber to move the sand away so that this settlement can become more obvious, what do you think about that? Well, what you're talking about is completely wrong. There's no absorber. We have the archaeological excavation process that follows strict procedures. We don't simply remove sand. Rather, the sand is removed through archaeological excavation because documentation is key here. Sand cannot be removed just like that. Sand has been drifting away from the current and all that. For example, the tombs I showed you contained important things, bones and so on and so forth. It's not just about having an absorber in place. And the key that we need to consider is that this is an archaeological site, so it needs to go through the proper excavation process, not just a dust removal. Well, okay, we thought that the sand absorber could be just one of the tools to be used. No. I want to be very clear about that as a speaker. We apologize. Now, when it comes now to the excavation, do you think that the excavation process will continue? Well, hear me out. Just a moment. We need to say that highlighting the area and excavating the area are two different things. We have a part of the space that is conspicuous. It's obvious. We have shown that. If you go and swim there, you can find out more. We can further highlight that. But when we dig something or when we remove the sand from that place, we can make what has been buried appear. And currently, we're running an excavation process which will continue in October. But let's not forget that this process is subject to the various currents and natural phenomena. These things cannot be protected. It's very difficult to protect something underwater. Therefore, all these things need to be addressed in a serious, organized way. We just wanted to highlight what is already there, what already can be seen in the area. This is where we focus. If the systematic excavation process goes on, but I cannot tell because I'm not responsible about that, could maybe yield results in a few years. This process gives us archaeological data. We have made a cross-section of there that was never finished, and right now it has been covered, so we are no longer able to display that building. I know I'm getting too technical, but excavating does not mean that we will remove fully the sand. The excavation process is a very serious process. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. You hear me? Yes.
Μας ακούτε, κύριε Koutsoumba. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
I know you from a long time. I did the opportunity to spend a lot of time with you, but I believe that your knowledge and your expertise in Pavlopetri, it is unique not only in Greece but in the world. And a key point in which for the future that Elafonisos as an island in which Samos is very well known as a beach. But the last 2 years, around 2,000 questionnaires to the tourists, and on 100 tourists coming in Greece, going in Elafonisos, just 25% know Pavlopetri. I mean, 75% of the tourists in Elafonisos don't know what is the Pavlopetri. So one point that is we need to think together, it is that Elaphonisos is tourist between 10 of July and 20 of August. March, April, May, June, September, October, November, there are very few tourists. And I believe that if you want to improve the quality of life of Elaphonisiotes, we need to have something else than Sivos Beach, and Pavlopetri, it is a jewelry that we need to obtain to have better focus together, and I believe that it could be something very good for Greece, very good for Elaphonisos. With your expertise, we could do something. My proposal, it is in after the summer, September, October, if you could have one day dedicated together with the Demarco from Elaphonisos, with your expertise and our association, to do something that is a plan for a long term, not wait the other 10 years to have Pavlopetri become very well known. Okay?
This is also the whole Natura area, because you know in March, April, May or October sometimes you cannot swim in Pavlopetri. The currents are very hard. So if you saw the study I saw you, the bigger plan, it has also the birds and all these things, that it's an eco route for also the September, October or March, when you cannot swim, when the conditions are not suitable for swimming.
Sure. And I agree with you that just to be aware, we have a good relation with NECA. We have done a good activity with Maria Papadopoulos, together also with Yannis and also with Petros, that is in charge as a secretary of the NECA part. And I agree it is okay. Your expertise, NECA not 2000, our expertise, local expertise, together we could do something good for Greece and for Elaphonisiotes. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.